The world of Orshar was silent that night, almost too silent. The wind that usually moved softly through the crystal trees had stopped. The glowing river that cut through the valley seemed frozen in its flow. Even the small winged animals, known for their constant songs, were hiding in their nests. Everyone felt it. Something was wrong. For thousands of years, the Orshar had prayed to the stars. They were not warriors. They were not explorers. They lived quiet lives, filled with music, farming, and meditation. Their people believed the universe listened to their hearts, not their weapons. And among all their prayers, one prayer was repeated more than any other. Stars, please, keep the humans away from our world. They whispered it during storms. They cried it during eclipses. They wrote it in their sacred books. The Orshar feared humans more than anything else in existence. They had never seen a human, never heard a human voice, and never visited a human world. They only knew stories from travelers, stories passed through frightened lips. Humans lived on harsh worlds of fire and ice. Humans adapted faster than any species ever known. Humans fought wars that destroyed entire continents. Humans were unstoppable once they decided something. Many called humanity the children of the storm. And for peaceful beings like the Orshar, storms are the most terrifying thing in creation. Tonight, the high seer of their people, an old alien named Valen, stood at the top of the Grand Prayer Tower. His long robes fluttered around him as he raised his hands toward the sky. Below him, thousands of Orshar gathered in the main plaza. Some were crying. Some were holding their children close. Some were whispering weak prayers. Valen's voice carried far into quiet night. Brothers and sisters, the sky has shifted. A new signal has appeared. Our ancestors warned us about this sign. We must pray harder tonight. Pray that the humans never find our home. Fear spread like a cold wave among the crowd. No one questioned the high seer. For generations, Valen and those before him watched the sky carefully. They knew the patterns of comets, the rhythm of stars, the color of nebulae. They were respected. They were trusted. Tonight, the sky itself seemed strange. The stars were brighter. The horizon glowed faintly. The air felt heavy, as if something huge was about to happen. The people knelt, gripping the ground with shaking hands. Valen began the ritual. He chanted an old prayer, one older than their temples, older than their written history. Let the humans remain far. Let the storms never reach us. Let the protectors of the sky shelter our world. The crowd repeated his words like a single voice, a trembling echo rising into the dark. For a moment, it felt like the universe was listening. For a moment, their fear eased. For a moment, the silence felt peaceful. But only for a moment. A sharp sound cut through the night, a sound no one on Orshar had ever heard before. It was like thunder, but heavier, like metal scraping across the heavens, like a giant engine breathing in the sky. Heads snapped upward. The high seer's eyes widened. His voice stopped mid-prayer. A bright streak tore across the darkness, fast, controlled, and glowing with fire. It moved with purpose, not like a falling star or a wandering rock. The trail behind it burned golden and red, lighting up the clouds. The crowd gasped. Children screamed. Some fell to their knees in shock, because this was no star. This was no comet. It was a ship. A massive, metallic shape ripped through the atmosphere and slowed above the main valley. Strange blue lights burned along its sides. Its shadow alone covered half the city. Smaller sparks danced behind it. Escape pods? Thrusters? Weapon heat? No one knew. The Orshar didn't understand human technology, but even they could see what was happening. Something was entering their world. Valen's heart struck like a hammer in his chest. He tried to speak, but his throat tightened. After a long moment, he managed to whisper, "No, no." The stars promised us safety, but the stars did not answer. The ship descended lower, slow and steady, like a giant bird preparing to land. Dust rose in huge spirals beneath it. The glowing river reflected its dark metal surface, turning the water into a mirror of fire. Panic exploded. People ran in every direction. Mothers pulled their children into alleys. Elders shouted warnings. Market stalls were trampled as thousands tried to hide. From the highest tower, Valen stared in horror. He had spent all his life praying for this day to never come. He had spent his childhood listening to ancient warnings. He had spent his adulthood teaching the same fear to new generations. And now, the moment he feared more than death itself stood above their valley, marked by lights as bright as suns. A deep hum filled the air, a sound too perfect, too artificial, too advanced to belong to their peaceful world. Then a bright blue circle opened beneath the ship, like an eye staring down at the planet. A voice, calm but powerful, echoed from hidden speakers. To the inhabitants of this world, this is a Terran expeditionary vessel, Harmony's Spear. We come in peace. The plaza fell silent. People froze. Even the wind stopped again. Valen's body trembled. His mind refused to accept what he was hearing. The voice continued. We request dialogue. We request understanding. We request contact. The High Seer slowly fell to his knees as the truth hit him like a crushing wave. Their prayers had failed. Their fear had come alive. Humanity had arrived. And Orshar would never be the same again. The human ship remained still in the sky, like a giant dark mountain hanging above the valley. Its lights blinked softly, almost calmly, but to the Orshar people below, every blink felt like the countdown to disaster. All across the city, fear spread like fire. Families hid in their homes. Shops closed their doors. Temples locked their gates. Some citizens whispered prayers, hoping the stars might still protect them. Others simply sat in silence, staring at the sky with empty eyes, unable to understand how their worst fear had suddenly turned into reality. Inside the Grand Council Hall, the leaders of Orshar gathered urgently. The room, usually filled with soft music and peaceful whispers, now shook with nervous voices and trembling breath. The council hall was a beautiful structure, walls carved with silver patterns, floors that shone like polished crystal, and a ceiling painted with scenes of their ancient gods. But tonight, no one looked at the beauty around them. Their eyes were fixed on a large hollow screen at the center of the room, replaying the human message again and again. This is the Terran expeditionary vessel, Harmony's Spear. We come in peace. Some council members flinched every time the human voice played. Others watched it with suspicion. A few watched with silent dread. High Seer Valen entered, his face pale, his step slow. When he sat at the council table, the room grew still. He whispered the words everyone feared. The humans, they have found us. A woman on the council burst into tears. A younger guard clenched his teeth. An elder shook his head in disbelief. Finally, Elder Saren, known for his calm mind, spoke. We must think with reason, not fear. The humans say they come in peace. Counselor Lyra snapped back immediately. Peace? You believe them? Have you forgotten the stories? Humans destroy everything they touch. Another voice joined in. We should not talk to them. We must run. Hide. Evacuate the cities. A third counselor shouted. Run where? Their ship is larger than our entire capital. Arguments filled the room like crashing waves. Some screamed for surrender. Some demanded hiding. Some suggested they should attack. Even though they all knew their old weapons would break, like toys against a human warship. Valen closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. His heart felt heavy. He had led his people with wisdom for decades, but tonight he felt lost. He raised a hand, and the room slowly grew quiet. We have prayed for protection for thousands of years, he said softly. But the stars did not stop the humans. They are here. Running will not change that. Hiding will not change that. Counselor Lyra glared at him. So, what do you propose, High Seer? Welcome them? Invite them into our cities? Offer them dinner? Her voice dripped with fear, not sarcasm. Valen shook his head. I only propose we understand their purpose. A murmur spread across the hall. Elder Saren leaned forward. The humans said they want contact. That means they may not be here for war. Counselor Arvith responded sharply. Or it means they want us to lower our guard first. Another elder added, if they wanted to destroy us, they would have done already. One blast from that ship could erase our valley. This time, the The room fell silent. Because that was true. Everyone knew it. Valen looked around the table, seeing the fear in every face. Fear he had helped build through years of warnings and sacred teachings. He felt a deep ache in his chest. Perhaps, he whispered, perhaps we were wrong about the humans. Gasps filled the hall. Counselor Lyra stood abruptly. High Seer, you yourself told us stories of their destruction. You told us of their endless wars. You told us that humans never stop once they choose a target. Valen nodded slowly. Yes, I did, because that is what we were told. That is what our ancestors believed. But none of us have ever seen a human before today. We built our fear on old words, not truth. Some council members looked confused. Some looked angry. Some looked uncertain. Valen continued. I looked at their ship. I felt no malice, no aggression, only a request to speak. Counselor Arvith muttered, humans are masters of deception. Elder Saren countered, and we are masters of fear. Perhaps both sides have much to learn. The debate grew quieter but heavier. The room filled with tension, as if the air itself was listening. Finally, the decision had to be made. A glowing orb floated to the center, the ancient decision sphere. Each council member would touch it, and their choice would be recorded by light. Valen took a breath. We vote on whether we should answer the humans or hide from them. The options appeared. 1. Speak with the humans. 2. Refuse contact and seal our cities. One by one, the counselors approached. The first member touched the sphere. It glowed red. They chose fear. The second touched it, red again. They chose safety by hiding. The third, blue. They chose to talk. The fourth, red. The fifth, blue. The votes were almost equal. Everyone watched the sphere nervously. The future of Orshar hung in its glow. Finally, only Valen remained. He walked toward the sphere slowly, his robe brushing the floor. His hands shook. His heart pounded. His entire life. He preached fear of humans. But tonight, when he heard that human voice, he felt something different. Not anger, not threat, not darkness. He felt sadness and curiosity. He felt hope. He placed his hand on the sphere. It glowed bright blue, filling the hall with soft light. Gasps rippled across the room. Elder Saren closed his eyes in relief. Counselor Lyra stared in disbelief. The sphere revealed the final count. Blue, contact. Red, refuse. The blue side won by a single vote. Valen whispered, "We will speak to the humans." Just as he said those words, a deep vibration shook the hall. The hollow screen flickered. A new message appeared, but this one was not from humans. It was from another alien empire. A message filled with anger, filled with threat, filled with danger. And in that moment, the council understood. The humans were not the only ones coming. The warning signal stayed on the hollow screen for several long minutes before the council could even move. A strange symbol flashed again and again, a twisting shape the Orshar had not seen in centuries. It belonged to the Varkun Dominion, an old empire once feared across the galaxy. The Varkun were known for tricks, lies, and ruthless control. And the message flashing on the screen was simple. Do not let the humans land. No explanation. No friendly greeting. Only a command. Fear returned to the council like a heavy fog. Elder Saren broke the silence. Why would the Varkun care about humans speaking to us unless they have something to hide? Counselor Lyra whispered, or they know what humans are capable of. High Seer Valen stared at the message for a long moment. A cold feeling settled in his chest. Something about this warning felt wrong. Too sudden, too aggressive, too desperate. But before he could speak, another sound shook the building. A soft but powerful hum, like a massive heart beating above the city. The humans were lowering a shuttle. A long shadow passed over the window as a smaller craft detached from the main ship. It descended slowly toward the landing platform outside the city. Blue thrusters glowed beneath it, lighting up the valley in a soft aura. Panic spread once more across Orshar. Citizens ran through the streets. Some hid behind walls. Many knelt in fear, repeating prayers through trembling lips. Valen stood at the tower window, and watched the shuttle approach the ground. Dust swirled around the landing site. Blue lights flickered against the stone platforms. The shuttle's ramp opened. A tall human figure walked out slowly. The first human ever to set foot on Orshar. She moved with calm steps, no hesitation, no fear. Her uniform was dark blue with silver lines. A translator device glowed on her shoulder. Her posture, straight and steady, made her look both strong and gentle at the same time. Her name was Captain Rhea Morgan, leader of the Terran diplomatic team. And in that moment, every Orshar watching felt the same thing. She did not look like a monster. She looked human. Rhea waited quietly at the bottom of the ramp, hands visible, no weapons, no armor. Her eyes studied the city with curiosity, not aggression. A group of guards nervously approached her. Their hands shook. None dared get too close. Captain Rhea bowed her head politely. "I greet the people of Orshar," she said softly. "I hope we may speak in peace." Her voice carried to the translator, warm, calm, steady. The guards didn't know how to respond. They looked at each other helplessly. Finally, Valen stepped forward. He walked slowly, supported by a cane, his breath heavy. The council had voted for contact. He must honor that choice. When he reached the platform, Rhea bowed again. "You must be a leader of your people. It is an honor to meet you." Valen swallowed hard. His throat felt dry. "I am High Seer Valen," he said quietly. "Welcome to Orshar." He expected the human to brag, to threaten, or to show power. Instead, Rhea smiled gently. "Thank you. We did not mean to frighten anyone. We detected unusual signals from your world and came to understand them." Her honesty surprised him. Valen hesitated, then asked, "Why have humans come here after so long?" Rhea's face softened with sadness. "We didn't know you existed. Your world is hidden behind a nebula. We found it by accident. An accident, not an invasion, not a planned attack." Valen's heart shifted slightly. But he had to ask a question that haunted every Orshar. "Are you here to harm us?" Rhea's eyes widened. She shook her head quickly. "Never. Humanity has fought many wars. Too many. We came here to build peace, not destroy it." The guards whispered to each other. Some felt relieved. Others still trembled. Valen studied her carefully. Her uniform was simple, not decorated like a conqueror's outfit. Her eyes held no cruelty. Her hands did not twitch the way a killer's hands might. Something felt sincere. Yet, he could not forget the Varkan message. He took a deep breath and asked, "Do you have enemies who might follow you?" Rhea looked surprised. "Many forces in the galaxy dislike humans. Some fear us. Some misunderstand us. But no one should attack your world because we visited." Valen didn't tell her about the Varkan message. Not yet. Something deeper was happening. And he needed to understand first. He stepped closer, gathering the bravery he did not know he had. The stories we heard about humans, they speak of destruction, of chaos, of terrible strength. Rhea sighed gently. Some of those stories are true. Humans can be fierce. But we are also healers, explorers, and protectors. We want to understand your people, not harm them. She paused and added, "Fear makes enemies where none exist." Her words struck Valen like a quiet storm. Fear. Yes, their whole society was built on fear of humans. And yet the woman in front of him did not feel like fear. She felt like a bridge, fragile, but real. Rhea then made a simple request. "May I speak to your council?" Valen hesitated. The council was already divided. Half feared humans more than death. Half wanted to understand them. Bringing Rhea inside could break the balance or heal it. Before he could answer, a sudden explosion of static burst from his communicator. The Varkan symbol flashed again, this time brighter, angrier. A new message appeared. "Do not trust the humans. We are coming." Valen's blood ran cold. Rhea saw the panic in his eyes. "What's wrong?" she asked quietly. But he couldn't speak, not yet, because now the truth was becoming clear. The humans were not the danger. The real danger was rushing toward Orshar and fast. And Valen had only one choice. Tell the humans the truth, or let his world fall alone. The night sky over Earth's northern hemisphere glowed with artificial streaks. Hundreds of orbital defense beacons humming at full charge, each one ready to unleash power that humanity had never dared to use before. On the surface below, the world was holding its breath. Cities had gone silent. Streets were empty. Even the winds felt as if they were listening to what would happen next. Humanity was no longer preparing for war. It was already in one. Inside the Global Command Citadel, buried under a mountain of reinforced stone and plasma-resistant alloy, General Arya Salins, one of the senior strategists still alive, stood in front of a shimmering holomap. Her fingers traced the position of the incoming enemy fleet. Clusters of red markers pulsed on the display like angry blood cells in the galaxy's largest wound. The Galactic Empire had deployed almost half of their Eastern Armada. It was an insult, a threat, and a declaration all wrapped together. "They think we'll break," Arya murmured. Commander Raheem Vale, a former engineer turned military leader after the fall of Montreal, stepped beside her. His voice carried none of the fear the world felt. "They think wrong." Arya zoomed into the holomap. The Empire ships were forming a trident formation, 2 Vanguard spears and a heavily armored command column in the center. It was a formation they only used when they believed their opponent was inferior. The room darkened as emergency power rerouted to the holosphere. Now the map displayed global communications, 8 billion signals, from trembling families to revenge-filled militias. Everyone was connected. Everyone was watching. A voice crackled from the intercom. "General, the fleets are within 10 minutes of outer defense range." Arya took a long breath. "Patch me through to every soldier, drone operator, pilot, and civilian who can still hear us." The officer nodded. The room fell silent as the global channel opened. "This is General Arya Salins," she said. Her voice traveled through bunkers, ships, street speakers, and handheld radios. "Today, we do not fight for territory. We do not fight for pride. We fight because an empire believed it could erase us." She paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. "They killed our diplomats, our commanders, our families, and they believed we would kneel. They believed humanity was fragile. Across the world, millions tightened their fists. But today," she continued, "we show them the truth. Humanity bends, but it does not break. Today we rise not as nations, but as one species." A roar of approval echoed globally. Shouts, slamming fists, war cries. The intercom closed. Raheem exhaled. "That was better than anything I could have said." Arya gave a faint smile. It wasn't a speech. It was a promise. High above the earth, in the vacuum where sound could not travel, the first wave of Galactic Empire cruisers glided forward. Their hulls reflected the faint blue shimmer of Earth's defensive shields. Thousands of alien officers stood in command decks, most of them convinced that this was merely a cleanup mission. After all, to them, humanity was a primitive species, a mistake they would soon regret. As the alien flagship approached the orbital boundary, an automated voice from Earth's defense network triggered. "Warning! You are entering restricted territory. Stand down or be engaged." The Empire ignored it. Inside Defense Beacon Station A-11, Lieutenant Mira Yun watched enemy signatures cross the final border. Sweat rolled down the side of her face. She wasn't nervous, not anymore. She was furious. "They want to test us," she said. "Fine, let's begin." She pulled the trigger. All across Earth's orbit, 200 defense beacons activated simultaneously. Rings of compressed plasma spiraled outward, forming beautiful blue halos that expanded with deadly precision. The Empire's Vanguard ships didn't even have time to respond. Their shields flickered once, then collapsed entirely. Dozens of alien cruisers disintegrated in seconds, dissolving into glowing debris that burned across the atmospheres of the world below. In the Empire flagship, chaos erupted. Unknown weapon detected. Shields collapsing. This shouldn't be possible. Their commander, a towering creature covered in obsidian plating, slammed his fist onto the console. Humanity is not supposed to have this capability. A just formation. But the damage was done. The Empire had walked into a trap. Back on Earth, Arya watched the feed as the hologram updated. First wave neutralized, the AI reported. Rahim nodded. The enemy will shift to aggressive bombardment. They'll want to overwhelm our orbit defenses. And we let them, Arya replied. Rahim blinked. Let them? Humanity's plan had been developed in silence. For months, Arya and a handful of engineers had been working on a countermeasure unlike anything ever attempted. A system that didn't just defend Earth, one that used the enemy's attack against them. Her eyes narrowed. Prepare the reflector array. Rahim hesitated. If it fails... It won't, she said sharply. Because it can't. Humanity needs this. He swallowed his doubt and began the activation process. The Empire adjusted quickly. Thousands of ships now fired coordinated plasma artillery directly toward Earth's orbit. Beams of violet energy carved through space, powerful enough to liquefy continents. But Earth's outer shield, the reflector array, lit up in response. A massive dome of refractive light shimmered, capturing the incoming plasma blasts and bending them, redirecting them, until the beams curved like streams of water, reversing their flow. Straight back toward the Empire's own fleet. The alien commanders stared in horror as their bombardment rippled back and tore through hundreds of their own vessels. Their formations collapsed. Their command network broke. The once fearsome Eastern Armada began to scatter like frightened insects. In the command citadel, Rahim stared at the display, stunned. Arya, this is a slaughter. No, she said softly. This is balance. The Empire had unleashed terror on humanity for years. Now, humanity was simply returning what had been forced upon it. But Arya knew this was only one battle. The Empire's core fleets had not yet arrived, and when they did, they would come with the fury of an entire galactic civilization. She straightened her uniform and turned to Rahim. Prepare the next stage. Humanity's retaliation has only begun. Rahim nodded, determination burning in his eyes. Yes, General. For Earth. For all of us, she replied. And as the flickering hologram continued to update with the chaos of collapsing enemy ships, Earth, bruised, wounded, but unbroken, started preparing for the next war. The war that would decide whether humanity would survive or vanish. The debris field of the shattered Eastern Armada circled Earth like a metallic storm belt, glinting as the sun's rays hit the drifting wreckage. What was once the Empire's pride now orbited the planet as silent proof of humanity's evolution and its wrath. But inside the global command citadel, victory celebrations were non-existent. Humanity had learned the hard way that the Empire rarely attacked with a single fleet, and Arya knew this wasn't over. She stood in the strategy chamber once again, now with a far larger team, data analysts, xenobiologists, quantum engineers, and officers from every surviving nation. The room hummed with a nervous, electric tension. Status of the outer sectors? She asked without looking up. A holographic technician responded immediately. We're still picking up long-range jumps, but they're scattered. The Empire seems to be recalibrating their warp anchors. Arya folded her arms. Good. That buys us time. Rahim, standing beside a console filled with tactical projections, glanced at her. How much time exactly? A few hours, she said. Maybe less. A heavy silence swallowed the room. In the Empire's forward command hub, tens of light years away, a meeting of their upper council was unfolding in fury. The air around them crackled with psychic static, a sign of their heightened emotional conflict. Their supreme marshal, wrapped in ceremonial armor forged from black void steel, paced in a circle. How did a Tier 3 species reverse our plasma rays? The marshal thundered. A smaller but sharp-eyed strategist floated a hollow recording into view, Earth's reflector array bending their own energy attacks backward. It is a system that should not exist, the strategist hissed. Humans were supposed to still be testing fusion cannons, not manipulating beam curvature. Are you suggesting someone help them? The marshal growled. We have no evidence, the strategist replied, but their sudden technological leap is suspicious. The marshal's armor vibrated with contained rage. Then we escalate, deploy the Obsidian Legions, prepare the High Dreadnought, and send word to the Emperor. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The Emperor was never contacted unless the threat was dire. Humanity had become dire. Back on Earth, Arya looked at her exhausted team. Many had been awake for more than 40 hours. Some had lost family members only days ago. Yet they stood there, refusing to step back. Listen, Arya said, projecting her voice. What we achieved today is enormous, but the Empire will not repeat the same mistake twice. They'll come with heavier ships, deadlier weapons, maybe even their elites. Then what's our counter? Raheem asked. Arya tapped her wrist pad. A new hologram unfolded in the room, showing an untested construct, a giant ring-like superstructure buried under the Himalayas. The Aurora Gate. Murmurs filled the chamber. That project wasn't even in final testing, Raheem said. We don't know if it's stable. We don't have the luxury of caution anymore, Arya replied. If the Empire sends her dreadnoughts, our current defenses won't be enough. The Aurora Gate is our only chance to strike beyond Earth. A scientist stepped forward. But it's not a weapon, General. It's an interstellar propulsion ring. I know, Arya said, and we're going to convert it. The room went still. We're turning it into a long-range assault platform. Raheem stared at her. You're suggesting we take the fight to them? No, Arya answered. I'm suggesting we prepare for the moment they leave us no other choice. Hours passed. Alarms triggered. Engineers raced the reactors buried deep beneath the mountain. Thick power conduits pulsed with blue energy as the Aurora Gate awakened for the first time. The giant ring rotated slowly, rumbling like a colossal beast stirring from ancient sleep. Raheem stood beside Arya on the observation deck. If this thing overloads, we lose half of Asia, he said quietly. Arya nodded. If we don't activate it, we lose Earth. They watched as the first arc of white energy crackled across the ring. The gate shimmered, stabilizing into a spiraling vortex, a tunnel of light leading across stars. We did it, Raheem whispered. But Arya didn't share his relief. Give me long-range radar. Her tone turned cold. Urgent. Moments later, the entire observation deck darkened as a new hologram appeared, showing the outer solar system. The Empire had arrived. Not a few ships, not a battle group, but an entire formation the size of a small continent. Massive dreadnoughts shaped like floating fortresses, spike-covered carriers, obsidian ships emitting faint ripples of gravitational distortion. And at the center of it all, a monstrous vessel larger than Earth's moon, the High Dreadnought. No one had ever seen it deployed. Raheem's face lost all color. Arya, that thing is a planet killer. I know, and we can't repel something of that scale. Yes, Arya said softly. We can. She turned to her team. Evacuate all personnel not essential to the gate activation. Redirect all power grids to the Himalayan core. Bring quantum stabilizers online. An engineer shouted over the alarms. General, what are you planning? Arya's eyes fixed on a hologram of the High Dreadnought, humanity's first ever interstellar strike. Raheem grabbed her arm. You're not seriously thinking of throwing the gate's energy beam at it. No, she interrupted. Not the beam. Then what? She inhaled. We're sending a ship. Raheem blinked. A ship through the gate? Into their fleet? That's suicide. Arya turned toward him. Not if that ship carries something powerful enough to change everything. Raheem froze. You mean the Soul Core? Arya nodded. The Soul Core, Earth's experimental, ultra-compact star reactor, a device capable of releasing the energy of a small sun. If detonated inside enemy lines, it would erase the High Dreadnought from existence. Prepare the vessel, Arya said, voice steady. We launch in 1 hour. Raheem looked at her, conflict written across his face. Who's going to pilot it? Arya didn't answer. She didn't need to. Raheem's eyes widened. Arya, no, you can't. But she was already walking toward the launch bay. Outside, the Empire fleet advanced, their dreadnought casting an expanding shadow over the solar system. Earth had one chance. One risky, desperate chance. And Arya was ready to take it. The launch bay beneath the Himalayan mountains felt like the heart of a sleeping titan. Pipes hissed. Reactors hummed, and waves of cold air rolled across the steel floor. Even though thousands of people worked in the underground complex, the atmosphere was strangely quiet. Too quiet for what was about to happen. Arya stood beside the sleek, silver-black vessel that would carry the Soul Core. It was smaller than the average human fighter, shaped like a compressed spearhead with folded wings and an armored front. It wasn't built for comfort. It wasn't built for long journeys. It was built for one mission, to reach the Empire fleet and destroy their high dreadnought. Raheem approached her with heavy steps. His face was pale, but his eyes burned with emotion. "You should not be the one piloting this," he said, voice shaking. Arya didn't look at him. Instead, she checked the stability locks on the Soul Core container. The cylinder glowed faintly from behind reinforced glass. "Someone has to be in the cockpit," she said softly. "And I'm the one who put the plan together. My responsibility. My choice." Raheem grabbed her arm, stopping her for the first time since the war began. "You're the only person who understands the Empire like this," he said. "The only one who predicted their moves. If you die—" Arya pulled her arm free gently. "If I die, humanity survives. That's enough." An alarm echoed through the bay. A digital voice announced, "Aurora Gate stabilization at 62%. Quantum funnel forming." The ground beneath them trembled as the giant ring above the mountain accelerated its rotation. Light pulsed through chambers, casting shifting patterns across Arya's face. "It's opening," Arya murmured. Raheem swallowed hard. "Then listen to me. At least take a co-pilot. Or a drone unit." "No," she said. "The Soul Core can react unpredictably under high-stress flight. Too many variables. One mind, one mission." Raheem's jaw clenched. "You're making this too easy for the Empire." Arya shook her head. "I'm making it impossible for them." Across the command deck, engineers rushed between consoles. One man shouted, "The Empire fleet is entering Mars orbit." Another reported, "Their dreadnought has activated long-range weapons." Earth had minutes before fire rained down. The global screen flickered again as the Empire fleet's dark silhouettes filled the projection. The high dreadnought looked unreal. Its surface cracked with purple energy veins, its hull shaped like a crawling nightmarish creature from ancient myths. A weapon charging inside the dreadnought glowed brighter and brighter. Earth was about to be broken. In the launch bay, a technician approached Arya with a handheld screen. "General, we adjusted the vector corrector as you requested," he said. "Your entry through the gate will push the ship faster than light, but the navigation will be unpredictable." "That's fine," Arya answered, "as long as it gets me through." The technician hesitated. "And, General, when the core reaches overload, you only have 7 seconds to escape the blast radius. There won't be time for manual ejection." Arya nodded calmly. "There won't be time for escape either way." The technician looked at her, eyes filling with respect and fear. "Good luck, General." Arya climbed inside the vessel. The cockpit was small, cold, and dimly lit. The console lights blinked to life one by one as the systems recognized her. Her seat tightened around her as biometric locks engaged. "Soul Core stable," the onboard AI reported. "Gate flux signature detected. Mission route uploaded." "Good," Arya whispered. She placed her palm on the manual ignition pad. The glass under her hand warmed, confirming her identity. Raheem's voice suddenly came through the comm link. "Arya, I can't stop you, but I want you to know if you don't make it back." Arya closed her eyes briefly. "Raheem, thank you for everything." Silence filled the channel. Then Raheem said, "Make them fear us." A faint smile touched her lips. "Oh, they already do." The hangar doors opened. Light from the Aurora Gate poured through like a newborn star rising behind the mountains. The huge rotating ring outside spun with violent energy, forming a swirling white vortex at its center. Thunderous power rumbled through the earth itself. "Vessel 1, the command tower announced. You are clear for launch." Arya tightened her grip on the controls. Launching. The engines ignited, blasting a shockwave through the bay. The ship shot forward, racing up the magnetic rail. The mountain walls blurred. Dust blasted outward. The ship broke free into the open sky, straight toward the glowing ring. The Aurora Gate flared with blinding brilliance. Aria's heart hammered, not with fear, but purpose. She whispered to herself, for Earth. The ship plunged into the gate. Inside the Aurora Gate, reality disappeared. Colors twisted. Time folded. The cockpit glass showed streaks of space bending like melted silver. Aria felt weightless and crushed at the same time. The hull groaned under the stress of dimensions tearing open. Her sensors flickered before stabilizing. Approaching exit point, the AI said. Brace for impact. A violent jolt threw Aria forward as the ship burst out a gate into open space, right in front of the Empire's massive fleet. Her breath caught. The high dreadnought loomed ahead, like a colossal beast blocking the stars. Hundreds of Empire ships floated around it in aggressive formations. No one expected a human ship to appear in their midst. No one was prepared. Her console beeped. Target acquired. The AI reported. Aria whispered, "Let's finish this." She pushed the throttle. The spear-shaped vessel shot forward at impossible speed, straight toward the dreadnought's heart. Behind her, the soul core began to glow. The final phase had begun.